How to build in Fortnite. There are so many tutorials out there for how to build, but I promise this is the tutorial you've been looking for. The main reason is I actually made an entire creative map that teaches you every build move you need, from total beginner level builds to advanced. Timestamps are down below if you want to skip around. First, we're going to give a tour of the map, then I'm going to give you some tips on how to get the most out of this map, and then finally I'll give you some bonus tips for stuff in the map. But let's start out with a quick 30-second tour of this map. So to get around, just shoot the squares on the walls and then use the signal remote to get back to the lobby. To play the tutorials, you just shoot these squares. One of them will bring the video out of the ground, one of them will play an audio tutorial, and then one will attach the video tutorial to your screen. And in the back of every room are speed options. The first room is perfect for beginners because it teaches you how to edit course and get comfortable with building and editing fast. The second room is a bunch of starter build moves that you definitely need in your game, and then we get into side jumps and tunneling, and finally into retakes. And the last room is a 1v1 room where you can practice against a friend. So that's a quick tour of this map, but before you get into it, make sure you watch the rest of this video because now I'm going to give you some tips on how to get the most out of this map. The first thing that I think is super important to understand is that the goal of this map is to get you comfortable doing a variety of build moves. You're not always going to do these moves exactly as they're scripted, so don't go into an actual game and be like, okay, I need to do this exact set of moves to win the fight. That's not how it works. The more you learn in this map, if you learn every single build move, the goal is to get comfortable with building and be very flexible. So in other words, the main goal is to get to the point where you're so comfortable with building that you can more so focus on the opponent and react to what they're doing. The goal in the fight is to outplay the opponent, so you're not going to do that with scripted moves, you're going to do that with flexible and fast reflexes, reacting to what the other player is doing. It's like if you're in a boxing fight, you know, you can't just throw 1-2 and win. You have to dodge, you have to react to the other players, so a scripted set of moves isn't always going to win. So here's my advice to get to that point. Start out by just trying to learn a decent amount of these moves, maybe like 10 to 20. Start with the basics, obviously, the 1-star difficulties. Start in slow motion. Like I said, in the back of every single room, there are speed options. Once you get a move down in 0.5 speed, move up to 0.75, and then up to 1, and then up to 1.25. Once you can do the moves at the fastest speed, that's how you know you 110% have that move mastered. If you can get a move down in the fastest speed, once you go back down to normal, it's going to literally feel like you're playing in slow motion. It's gonna make the move feel so much easier, so that's why I recommend practicing the different speed options. So the best practice routine is, of course, practice some new moves at the start of every day, and then hop into a 1v1. You could use the 1v1 room in the map, or you could queue into another 1v1 map. These moves are not going to instantly make you better. It's going to be an overtime type of thing. So if you don't instantly start winning fights, that is 100% normal. Everybody's going to struggle at first. But if you just learn a little bit at the start of every day, you'll eventually get there. My last piece of advice is if you're brand new to the game and you're starting out in this map, before you start learning these moves, look up a tutorial on how to have the best settings in Fortnite. It's important to do that before starting this map because otherwise you're going to be memorizing bad settings. You gotta optimize those settings first. Now for the next part of this video, I'm going to give you some extra information about a few of the drills in the map. I recommend watching this part of the video even if you're just getting started with building because I think you'll learn a lot from it. And then come back to this once you finish some of the drills in the map. All right, let's get into it. The first room is pretty straightforward, so we're going to go into room number 2. So the first thing I want to talk about is how a typical fight starts with ramp rushing. So I show you a few different variations here, but this is typically how it goes. So it starts out, 2 players are ramp rushing up towards each other, right? The goal is to get above the other player first, so you want to do the sprint ramp rush where you're sprinting while building up. And then if the opponent does get above you, you would swing high walls up like this to protect yourself, or just place a cone over your head. If you place these high walls, a lot of times you can get peace on them. So let's say that they were right here and you place these high walls, you might be able to get a cone over him just like that. And from there you could jump up and full box him. So it starts out, you're sprinting up, the opponent got above you, so you built up like this, and then you get cones over him, full box him, and then from there you can break his ramp, get a cone in there, and set up a peak. But sometimes, you know, you might do the sprint ramp rush, and maybe you go for the high wall, but they get over you, so then you just chill, and you can make like a few boxes here. And from there, they're gonna drop and pressure your wall. That's how a fight almost always starts. You start out in a ramp rush, start out in a build fight, maybe you get low on mats, one of you gets weak, or the opponent gets high ground over you, and then one of you is going to base up. So let's say you were the player that based up. You make a few boxes like this. This is the ideal situation to play defensively. I talk about it right here in scenario 6. As you can see, I'm making the 4 boxes here, but I'm just gonna show you kind of how it plays out. So let's say the opponent is pushing that wall there. You could set up a peak right here, maybe jump, hold this wall. Once you get it again, set up a peak on the opponent. The way you edit a far wall like that is you have to actually pull out your wall build when making that edit. If I don't have any wall build out, you can see I'm pressing the edit button. It doesn't work because it's too far, but if you pull that wall out, all of a sudden you can edit that. So yeah, the whole goal of having 4 boxes is if you were right here, let's say they got this wall, they would instantly edit you and shoot you. But if you were back here and they get that wall, they might make an edit, like they might set up this, and you can kind of go for a counter peek like this. And then let's say they push up, they get this wall here and they start spraying this wall. From there, you can back into this box and counter pressure like this. Let's say they get that wall and now they're pressuring this wall. From there, you could flip this cone up and just back up like this. That's how you play perfectly defensively. But now let's say you're the other player. Let's reverse the roles. You're the one attacking. Yeah, you could start out by pressuring like this, but something that I like to do is actually usually pressure from above. So I'll claim this cone and I'm building these walls to block, because what if the enemy edits up and takes a shot? I build those walls as safety. So then I can start pressuring this cone. I get doubles here. I can start pressuring here. But one thing you want to look for is now you got to remember you have these double edits. So if at any point they run back through here, you can quickly take a shot. Sometimes it can be helpful to build with like a different material. And you're like, okay, I'm the brick builds, just to help you keep track of it. But another thing is, let's say I'm pressuring this box here. They're right here. You could block these just in case they edit those cones, but also build a double edit there. Because let's say you get this top, when you edit, take the shot, sometimes they might go out the side. So having that built already can give you a step ahead advantage on them. But that's pretty much how you tackle if somebody's playing really defensively like this. The good news is, let's say this fight goes on for a long time, they're eventually going to run out of mats, but you on the other hand are not going to be using as many mats. So you have the advantage in the mat sense. The only thing is, a fight like that usually does last a long time, and usually third parties show up. So a lot of times I just run away from a player who's playing like that. So that was some extra info on room number 2. Room 3 is pretty straightforward if you follow the tutorials in the map, but let's head into room number 4 for a few extra tips. First off, combining a protected 90 and a high wall 90 can be pretty useful. The goal of a protected 90 is to block your back when doing a 90. So let's say you're leaving a box here and the enemy's above and behind you. You could leave like this and get up layers really fast. You saw I built the back walls first when doing the 90. Swing it behind you, and it kind of blocks your back wall going up. A high wall 90, on the other hand, builds walls extra high up. So imagine you combine that when you're leaving the box here, you build that high wall up even higher. See how I just swing it up even further when doing this? It's a little bit hard to get that top wall, but if you could get this down, it's actually pretty dang good. Just because if you only block the one layer above you, let's say they were up there, they could still get you. But if you swing that extra wall, then they'd have to be like straight above you to shoot you. So that can definitely be a good move to learn. The next move that I think a lot of people are going to struggle with is cone flips. It looks like this. That's what a cone flip looks like. The way it works is you flip the cone up and it's normally just going to break. But if you build a wall, it catches it. And then you build another cone on top, grab the cone edit, you reset it, jump up, and while jumping up, you confirm the next edit. And you can do this on repeat. So then you'd edit it again, catch it, cone on top, grab the edit, reset, and flip it. And you can do that super fast if you get it down right. But the reason I think a lot of people are going to struggle with this is because of the fact that grabbing an edit, resetting it, and confirming it all in one motion is pretty tough. So to get that down, the first thing that's really important is that you need to have a good reset bind. For example, most people use scroll wheel reset. If you look at my keyboard and mouse cam, I scroll the wheel and it just instantly resets it. You need to have a second reset button if you're on keyboard and mouse beyond the scroll wheel. For me, I use the right mouse button, as you can see right there. I grab the edit, press my right mouse button, and then I can confirm another edit. So it's really just 3 clicks. Grab edit by pressing the edit key, reset, and confirm. So make sure you have your settings right, and then a way you can get that down is just by practicing doing it on a cone while standing in one place. Doing it in the retake is going to be a lot harder, so this can be a good stepping stone to getting it down in the retake. The cone flips are pretty tough to do. I actually talk about an alternate option, which is this one here. Sway retake number 3. You can do pretty much the same exact thing, but with ramps. The way that would look is you do this, swing walls above you, ramp on top, and then you jump while editing a ramp. It pretty much does the same thing. As you can see, I'm getting up an extra layer, and I'm continuing to block my top. The only difference is when doing this, you have like a millisecond where your top is open, versus if you're doing a cone flip, your top is instantly protected because you placed that cone up earlier. But yeah, that's really advanced stuff. You're going to start with much easier things in this map, so if that's too advanced, don't worry. Now, the last retake that I mentioned in this map, I really just give you the bare bones of it, so I'll go into more detail right now for you guys. Basically, the move is a triple edit, but you triple edit out the side instead of out the front. And from there, you can either jump on a ramp like this and edit in that direction. You could also just go around like this. There's so many other options. So you triple edit through, and instead of jumping out like this and placing a ramp there, you can swing the wall and place a ramp like this. So that would look like this. As you can see, I'm placing the wall behind me and swinging it out. This is a really tough move, but honestly, it's one of my favorite and one of the most satisfying moves in the game, and will make your editing speed a lot faster if you can get this down. But the good thing about this move is that there's so many options, because you can go straight back the other way, you can go straight out the side, you could even just pause and base here. There's so many different options. This should probably be the last move that you learn in the map, but if you're looking for more information on it, definitely try going out in different directions. The last thing in this video, I want to show you guys how a 1v1 works. It's pretty simple, but if you're new to Fortnite, you might not know how it works. You're going to have a wall here, the player's going to be on that side, and you're on this side. It starts out by you ramp once, and then from here, you do 190, 290, and now you're going to be facing the other player. From here, you can do whatever you want, but it's important to do that first part where you go one ramp up and then 290s. You can sprint into it, you could do it however you want, but then after this, you can either ramp towards the enemy, or you could do this. Instead of ramping towards the enemy right here, you could do another 90 and try to get up some extra layers if you're trying to go for the high ground. There's really endless options on how you go about the rest of the fight, but it's important to get that first part down where you're just doing one ramp and then 290s, and then from there you can do whatever. Hopefully these bonus tips in this map helps you get started with building. I promise if you stick with it for a while, you're going to see crazy results, and it'll be a lot of fun on the way. Stay tuned, because I got more tutorials coming soon, and of course check out my other creative maps down below for more practice. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.